Imagine you're a suspect in an interrogation room and you're describing your gruesome acts of murder. While doing so, you're constantly smiling. That's exactly what happened in the case of Amarjeet Sada, the youngest serial killer. He starts killing at the age of 7 years old, and the first 2 victims was kept secret by his parents and some locals. Beyond that, during little Sada's police interrogation, the way he describes things, constantly smiles, is beyond disturbing. Just a little bit about Sada. Born in 1998 to a poor family that mostly works as laborers in the local town in India. Small town, village style. To say the family was struggling financially is an understatement. However, the village people stuck together and, traded goods and services as much as possible. Growing up, Sada didn't talk to many people. He didn't talk much. He was reserved. He was more labeled as a loner of sorts. While he did some typical kid things, like play with some toys, climb some trees, wandered around the village, he actually didn't have any friends. I couldn't find out if that was purposely or not. I don't know. So he ended up spending a lot of time alone, reserved, and just to himself in his own imagination. Now, the story gets much darker as Sada's aunt finally finds a job in the city and needs Sada's family to take care of her newborn. Her newborn was about 6 months old, so definitely an infant. His aunt was very excited about the opportunity, work in the city, finally got a job. She wanted to eventually settle into her job and then take her infant back. Just a small transitional period. Now, during this time, the infant was getting adjusted to the new place, living with his family. The infant started sleeping and taking small naps as normal. Things take a big turn when Sada's mother one day decides to go to the market for some vegetables. However, she gives Sada too much credit and allows him to keep an eye on the 6-month-old. Little did she know this would be a great mistake. As soon as little Sada realized that no one else was around, he began to slap, pinch, and play very rough with the infant. Now, this infant's sleeping, but suddenly the infant wakes up crying in tears, so loud. And suddenly the infant is crying in tears, and Sada thinks this is a game. So Sada's just laughing and, very happy-go-lucky. As more time went on, he started choking the infant. So the infant gasped for air. Eventually the infant stops breathing and passes away. It is noted that Sada enjoyed this. However, little Sada wasn't done. After bringing the dead infant to the nearby wooded area, he took a brick and, just for logical purposes, you could use your imagination and guess what he did. It's very hard to visualize, much less imagine trying to say it. After which, he covered the infant with leaves and, whatever he could find around. It was like gravel, leaves. And he went on about his business and went back home like nothing ever happened. A time later, Sada confessed to his mother of the horrible events. She was in shock and didn't know what to do. So she told his father. His father physically harmed him as punishment. Now, during this time, his parents didn't know what to do. They wanted to, call the police, but they also wanted to protect their son from consequences. They chose the latter to protect their son. So they made up a story to the aunt, letting her know about this freak accident that happened. I couldn't find a lot of details on it. Essentially, they made a story up. Perhaps not reporting it was probably the worst decision that the parents could have made, because he would go on to kill again. The next incident happens on a cold winter evening. Sada's parents decided to take a nap. It was cold. They didn't have any work to do at this point, so they wanted to take a nap. Little did they know that their son was ready for his next victim, his 8-month-old sister. Again, he starts playing and smiling with the infant before lifting the infant out of the bed and essentially strangling her to death. However, this event woke up his mother. She assumes that the infant needs milk or something, so she immediately goes for milk or food or whatever they had. Right as the mother approaches the infant, she knew immediately. So the mother starts crying and shouting at her 8-year-old son, "Did you kill your sister too?" He looks at his mother with a smile and says yes. The father was filled with anger upon hearing this. And, he wants answers. Like, why did you do this? Sada shrugs his shoulders and just says, just like this, and he demos what he did. However, in this event, the neighbor overheard what happened and told the parents to report it. However, in the same situation, they wanted to protect their son once again and told the neighbor to keep quiet. Now, I know what you're thinking. How could the neighbor keep quiet about something like this? From my research, this isn't a modern town like you and I might live in. This is a small little community, a small village, very poor rural area. And the rule of law isn't exactly the locals' #1 priority. More so survival is. I still can't fully understand why it wasn't reported. If you have any insight on this, please drop it in the comments. Once again, he faced no consequences for this and considered it a game, as he recounts. So in 2007, Sada's gruesome game reaches a climax with the murder of his third and thankfully final victim. This time, luckily, it's not a family member. He spots an infant left unattended in her carriage by a nearby school. Once again, jumps into his predator instincts and takes the baby to the nearby woods and ends life with a rock. Unlike before, this time, someone else's notices outside of the family. And they notice that Sada had the child, triggering a frenzy and a search. The mother realizes her baby is missing. So you got to think, she freaks out. This isn't part of his family. She's like looking all over for her baby. She can't find the baby at all. So she's freaking out. She's yelling. She's telling locals, hey, help me. And they do help. One of the locals remembers Sada playing with the infant and takes him to the woods. So they report that, and finally the police come. So after the authorities arrive, they question and they take him into custody on May 30th, 2007. The horrifying truth unfolds as he readily admits to all 3 murders. During the interrogation, the police ask, why did you do this? Why did you do all these murders? They're very gruesome and bad. They're not good. And again, they're talking to a child that's 8 years old. To their shock, he responds with a smile, casually requesting biscuits before providing more disturbing details. His nonchalant attitude adds another layer of horror to this whole situation. But wait till you hear what the doctors have to say. I want to take this time to thank you for watching. Please leave me a like or dislike and also consider subscribing. Thank you. So upon doctors' evaluation of Sada's, they revealed a disturbing profile. He's diagnosed with behavioral mental issues, but also described as a Satanist because he took pleasure in causing harm to others. One doctor even said he went so far to say there's mental issues going on, further complicating his case. It also shines light on his dark psyche. Due to his young age, mental health issues, and India law at the time, Sada escapes hard jail time. He spends about 3 years in a psychiatric facility before being placed in the youth home in 2015 until he turns 18. He's since been released and, he's probably roaming the streets as a free man. They changed his name to protect his identity. In this chilling tale, Sada's the youngest serial killer that leaves unimaginable crimes behind. The question lingers, should those who covered up his act, his parents, maybe even the neighbor, should they be accountable at all? The disturbing lack of consequences raises concerns about the legal system, mental health protocols, and of sorts. This was an unsettling story. His name that he changed it to is floating around on the internet, but that's actually not even his real name. There's no profiles of him. You won't be able to find him. I guess so far he has covered up his tracks pretty well, or their legal system has. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that there should be other consequences? What do you think should have happened? Thank you.